Hello, Quaker Valley families. We hope everyone has been enjoying a safe and relaxing summer as we plan for an opening that may look very different from what we have experienced previously. This presentation will provide you with information and clarity around our instructional options for the school year and help you to make an informed choice.
Hello, I'm Carol Sprinker and I'm the principal at Edgeworth Elementary School. I'm joined today by Erin Ray, the principal at Osborne Elementary School.
The purpose of this presentation is to provide explanations of the instructional models that are available to students in kindergarten through grade 5 at Edgeworth and Osborne Elementary Schools. This information will help our families make informed decisions.
Before we explain the instructional options, it is important to define a few key terms. Synchronous learning refers to live instruction that happens in real time with groups of learners. Students follow a schedule and participate in classes via Zoom with their teachers and classmates, just as they would do if they were in school. A live Quaker Valley teacher facilitates instruction. Teachers and students interact during the lessons, allowing for questions and feedback. Students participate in a variety of activities during the session that may include direct instruction by the teacher, group activities conducted in breakout rooms, independent practice monitored by the teacher, and various application and assessment activities. The goal is to simulate in-class instruction and learning to the very best of our ability.
Asynchronous learning refers to learning that occurs online without real-time live instruction. Students participate in the lessons at their own pace at home. The teacher facilitates instruction through written documents, recorded videos, or screencasts. The teacher addresses questions and feedback after the lesson through email, discussion boards, office hours, face-to-face sessions that occur in a hybrid model, or various applications and assessment activities completed independently and submitted via Schoology.
There are 3 instructional options at Edgeworth and Osborne from which families can choose. These options include an on-campus hybrid learning option, an online learning option, and a Quaker Valley Online Academy option. In the following slides, we will provide details related to each option.
Feedback from parents and teachers indicated that remote learning was most challenging for elementary students. Many young students are unable to work online independently, so it was important to create an option that would allow for the most in-person instruction possible. Due to the nature of elementary instruction, we have determined that it is possible to return to the buildings and physically distance students safely. Since elementary students can remain in one classroom for a large part of the day, the risks associated with exposure to a large number of students is reduced. We are, however, recommending a hybrid option where one day is conducted online. This will reduce contact that students have with others and will also allow for a thorough cleaning in the middle of the week. Furthermore, including one day of remote learning will allow students and parents to become familiar with online resources so that a smooth transition to full-time online learning would be possible should schools close completely. Our goal is to return to a traditional 5-day scenario if possible, and we will reassess after the first 4 weeks.
As you may recall, when Quaker Valley moved to remote learning in the spring of 2020, our typical instructional and assessment practices were modified. A question that families might have about the fall of 2020 is whether learning will look the same as it did in the spring. We learned a great deal about remote instruction over the past few months, and to be clear, adjustments will be made to plans and expectations for this fall. Grading and assessment practices will be similar to our typical pre-COVID practices. Schedules for students will follow a traditional school day. There will be an increased use of live, synchronous instruction, as well as increased rigor and expectations that align to our typical instructional and assessment practices. Lastly, the district is providing additional access to technology, including iPads for students in kindergarten through 5th grade and online supplemental programs in order to best meet the needs of our students.
The first of the 3 options available is hybrid learning. The Quaker Valley Elementary on-campus hybrid learning model uses Quaker Valley teachers and curriculum and allows for 4 days of on-campus instruction and 1 day of independent, asynchronous instruction.
This slide details a typical weekly schedule for students who select the hybrid option. Students will attend school on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, and will follow their typical school schedule. On Wednesdays, students will learn from home, completing their lessons asynchronously.
Students will remain in their homeroom classrooms for the majority of the day, with most special area teachers traveling to the homerooms. This practice is referred to as cohorting. On-campus learning days will follow a traditional school schedule similar to what they experienced prior to the school closure last spring. Students, faculty, and staff will be required to wear face coverings in the school facility. Students who present documentation of a medical condition that would prevent them from wearing a mask will be exempted from this requirement. Exemption requests should be made to the principal or school counselor. Physical distancing will be provided in classrooms with a minimum of 3 feet and up to 6 feet when possible. Students will be provided with a district-issued iPad. Every teacher will use the Schoology learning management system to post assignments, homework, and resources each day. This will ensure that teachers, parents, and guardians have a working knowledge of this system should the district transition to online learning at any time during the 2020-2021 school year. Teachers will utilize online materials and resources when available to assist with Wednesday's asynchronous at-home learning.
The second of the options available is online learning. The Quaker Valley online learning option at the elementary level includes a mix of synchronous instruction and independent skill development time for students depending on their age and abilities. All classes are facilitated by Quaker Valley teachers and follow the Quaker Valley lesson pacing and curriculum. The online learning option is a hybrid of synchronous instruction 4 days a week and asynchronous instruction 1 day per week on Wednesdays. Students participating in remote classes will have the opportunity to interact with other elementary students in their respective grades who also choose remote learning in the virtual environment. Students who choose online learning will not have the opportunity to interact virtually with students who choose to participate in live learning in the building. Students who choose online learning options are required to remain in that instructional format for the duration of the semester, or 12 weeks. During online learning, students will log in daily, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, for each of the content areas. The synchronous schedule is very similar to the in-person schedule and includes similar pacing and instructional activities as students learning within the school building. Although each lesson varies slightly by grade level and by content, each lesson will have a variety of learning opportunities, which will include live instruction, guided practice, independent work time, and skill assessment.
This slide details a typical weekly schedule for students who select the online learning option. Students will learn synchronously on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, following a schedule provided by the Quaker Valley online teacher. On Wednesdays, students will learn from home, completing their lessons asynchronously.
A typical online learning day will consist of several instructional blocks, including homeroom, language arts, math, science or social studies, and related arts. Instructional blocks range in time from 60 to 120 minutes, depending on the content and skill for that particular lesson. A student should anticipate that the online day will begin around 9 a.m. and conclude around 3:45 p.m. There is purposeful flexibility in the schedule to allow for body breaks, brain breaks, recreation, and for lunch to naturally occur between instructional blocks.
This is an example of what an instructional block would look like during online learning. A student could expect to be live with a teacher during the activities labeled Synchronous. In this example, the activities not labeled Synchronous, a student could be working in a small breakout room or working independently.
After viewing the previous slides related to the online learning model, you may have formulated some of the questions highlighted on this slide. It is important to note that students participating in the online learning model will not fall behind those participating in the on-campus hybrid model. Additionally, the district is requesting a 12-week commitment from the families once they make their decisions.
The final option available to students is the pre-existing Quaker Valley Online Academy, or QVOA. This option is ideal for students who wish to have more flexibility by participating in a fully asynchronous learning environment, as students are not required to log in at specific times to meet with teachers. It is important to note that QVOA does not utilize Quaker Valley teachers and curriculum. Online course vendors and teachers are provided by Waterfront Learning at the Allegheny Intermediate Unit. The teachers and the QVOA coordinator monitor student progress and communicate regularly with students and parents. Requests for this option must be addressed individually with the QVOA coordinator and the school counselor.
We know that this presentation includes a great deal of information, so we wanted to provide a quick recap of the Quaker Valley Elementary's 3 instructional options for the 2020-2021 school year. First, there is an on-campus hybrid learning option that utilizes Quaker Valley teachers and curriculum. It allows for 4 days of on-campus instruction with classroom teachers and 1 day of independent asynchronous instruction. Second, there is the online learning option that also utilizes Quaker Valley teachers and curriculum. It allows 4 days of live synchronous instruction via Zoom and 1 day of independent asynchronous instruction. Lastly, there is the Quaker Valley Online Academy option, which utilizes outside vendors and curriculum and is completely asynchronous 5 days per week.
For parents of students with an individualized education plan or a 504 service agreement, all decisions related to students will be made by the IEP or 504 team in accordance with the IEP or 504 plans and goals. Please know that we will be working collaboratively with families to meet the needs of your child through the IEP or 504.
Important dates that all families need to be aware of are as follows. Between August 4th and 5th, families should review the 3 instructional options available for Quaker Valley students. Between August 6th and 9th, families will make their decision about which instructional options are the most appropriate for their children, and then report these final decisions to the school district by August 9th.
To each and every parent and guardian watching this presentation, please know that we understand the pressure that you may feel in making an instructional decision for your child. But please know that whatever choice you make for your child is the right choice. We look forward to working together with all of our families and supporting our students as we transition into the 2020-2021 school year.
If you have any questions about the instructional options that were outlined in this presentation, please feel free to reach out to either elementary principal at your earliest convenience. As always, we appreciate and value your time and support. Thank you for joining us for this presentation.